Being from the South, I know a thing or two about how bugs can ruin a great outdoor experience. It's crazy how something so small can affect some of the potentially greatest experiences of your life. And that's why today's show is brought to you in part by Sawyer. You might know them as the water filter company. I actually have a couple Sawyer filters, but they make a lot of other great products too, including their insect repellent. And just some points about what it is. It's great for the whole family. It's actually safe to use on infants and those who are pregnant because they don't use DEET, the active ingredient. They use something better called picaridin. It actually lasts longer. It lasts up to 12 hours. Pretty incredible. And it doesn't damage any of your gear. So it's insect repellent specifically made for families who are also outdoorsy because it won't ruin any of that high dollar gear that you've bought to be out there. And it does a fantastic job of protecting you and your family from those vector-borne illnesses that are carried by insects. I know for me, I'm always carrying some insect repellent because I've had mosquitoes specifically ruin some pretty incredible backpacking experiences. Don't let it happen to you. Use Sawyer's 20% picaridin insect repellents. Find out more about that at sawyer.com. Play safe, travel safely. Sawyer. They keep you outdoors.
When we anchor in a place like Saltwhistle Bay in Myro, for example, this is a nice sandy beach lined with palm trees, really local atmosphere. We virtually drop our anchor on the beach.
This is the Adventure Sports Podcast, where we hear stories of adventure from every corner of the planet. We interview all sorts of folks who are using their sport to explore the world around them and give you the inspiration you need to get out there and have some fun.
Hey folks, hope you're doing all right. Today we're featuring Steve Hooker. I interviewed him actually a few months ago, but it was an episode that I thought I had lost, but I found the card it was on. We're able to salvage it, but we're talking, it's a little bit about the quarantine because that was kind of going on big time when this was happening. But anyway, talking to Steve, he's down in the Caribbean. He does kiteboarding lessons. He lives on his boat with his partner full time. Really awesome lifestyle. But, we always want to feature folks just living out of the box, doing things differently. And he's just a character, as you're going to hear. But we just jump right into the interview. I don't even properly introduce him because we were talking for a few minutes. Was recording the whole time, so I just picked a spot to kind of start the episode. So I hope you enjoy. I hope you learn from them. And if you happen to want to go down to the Caribbean, the contact information, his website's down in the show notes. Encourage you to go check it out. And I just hope it inspires you a little bit today on this Monday morning, whatever you're doing. I know for me, talking to these folks, always just maybe I don't want to do exactly what they're doing with my life, but it encourages me to think outside the box and to think about things just differently and to say, what really is possible with my life. So I hope you enjoy and learn from that aspect, or maybe you want to just follow exactly what Steve's doing, live on a sailboat full time. I live in a place now with tons of sailboats. I see folks that come in all the time in the marinas, and I think, where have they come from? Where are they going? That's pretty cool, but maybe that's your dream. But if so, there's a lot you can learn from them. But anyway, enjoy, and you'll be hearing from us again on Thursday. Man, how are y'all doing down there? Where are you at, by the way?
Well, we're in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We're at a place called Union Island. And here, everything is absolutely groovy, mate. It's absolutely perfect.
Groovy, just like your boat, huh?
Yeah, that's why the boat is groovy, because life is groovy.
Does it feel like anything is even going on? Probably just a lack of tourists, I'm sure.
Well, we're supposed to be on charter. I think we just supposed to have finished the charter a couple of days ago, and we got another one in next week. But everything's been cancelled, so we're on holidays. We're just put the anchor down in the best kite surfing spot and just chilling.
Kind of a welcomed break.
Right, a break is always good. It's absolutely fantastic. No, it's brilliant. As long as this doesn't go on too long, we don't need too many holidays. But, I think everything hasn't been cancelled. We're trying to postpone everything. So all the trips we've lost will make up for I don't know when all this is over, probably next season now.
Absolutely. Tell people about a little bit about what you do. I'd love to hear exactly from you, just what y'all do, and then I want to go back and to see how you got into it.
Well, we do sailing trips. We have a catamaran, 44-foot leopard, so it's the right size to do, to fit into the budget that most of our guests are interested in. We're very self-sufficient, so we have everything we need on board. We have desalinator and air conditioning for the people that are really spoiled, so we just, yeah, you know what it's like from your neck of the woods. Everybody needs aircon.
I'm from Florida originally, so you don't have air conditioning. It's a serious problem.
Yeah, but it's not, in my opinion anyway. I mean, I live in the tropics. It's not that hot for us here. But we just open the window. And remember, once you get out on the water, there's a bit of a breeze pretty much always. So it's always a little bit cooler out here on the boat. But yeah, we just do sailing trips.
I learned a little bit about you just through your website and doing some research.
Mm-hmm.
I know y'all do some sailing trips. I know you're from Australia, and people can probably hear it in your voice. I'd love to learn, how did this start for you? Where did you grow up doing this kind of stuff, or did you discover it later on?
Well, I didn't, not really. I mean, for me, when I was young, I was sailing as a kid. But, my dad was competing in sailing races in Australia. And I grew up with sailing in the family, but I never dreamed that I could do this as a career. I mean, this came a little bit later. I started working on commercial boats in Australia, and then I got my captain's license in Australia, and, I was doing the tourism thing there. Then quite a few years later, I ended up in Greece and started working on sailing boats. And I had no idea that this sort of thing existed. So, yeah, everything's gone forward from there.
And now, if I'm not mistaken, y'all left Greece to go across the Atlantic.
Yep, that's right.
What was that experience like?
Oh, it was easy, mate. It was fantastic.
It was easy.
It's just great to get away from it all. Also, it's great to be moving. I mean, sailing around the Greek islands I was there for 17 years. So sailing around the Greek islands for so long was nice. But, in the job that we're in, sort of taking people sailing, we have to keep it interesting for ourselves. So it was about time we moved after so long. So for us to sail across the Mediterranean and explore some new places, Italy and Spain and Gibraltar and all the rest on the way, and then eventually cross the Atlantic was just fantastic. I mean, it was really easy. We picked up some hitchhikers on the way, so we had some help to sail across for the difficult, for the long bit. So we had people on watch all the time. But yeah, it was easy peasy.
I didn't know sailboats picked up hitchhikers.
Yes, when we were in Gibraltar, we had some people come down to us and asked if we need crew. So we had one girl joined us in Gibraltar. Before that, we were in Italy. So we sailed from Greece to Italy. We picked up Monika's uncle, who joined us for the whole trip. And then we made our way slowly to Gibraltar, where we met somebody else. There was a few people there looking for a lift. So we gave a girl a lift down to the Canary Islands. And then from the Canary Islands, there was advertising everywhere. There was the Ark, which is it's an organized Atlantic rally. A whole load of boats get together and they do a bit of a rally sort of race and a very social sort of thing. And we were there at about the time that they were sort of getting, ready to leave. So there was a lot of people looking for boats to get on to get a lift across the Atlantic. So we picked up another two people from there, and they joined us, for the Atlantic crossing.
Was there any sort of, difficulty with you being out on just totally open ocean versus being in, around the Greek islands for so long?
Well, our boat is it's our boat. It's our home. We live here. I mean, it's our business and it's our home. So for us to be tied up in a marina or sailing across the Atlantic Ocean, it makes no difference. We're always here. We're always at home. Whether we're in the middle of the Atlantic, it doesn't matter. So we still got to go on with our usual things. We just have to, be a little bit more prepared to be away from everything, food and shopping and all that sort of thing. I lost my concentration here because we're going to be annoyed by one local here that wants us to buy some fish from him.
Okay.
You can edit that bit out, I'm sure.
No, this is the Adventure Sports Podcast. We let things happen.
We're fine, thanks, mate. We're fine, thank you. Yeah, that was one of the local guys coming and offering us fish. We get that about 2 or 3 times a day. Somebody's offering to sell us fish or lobster or whatever we need.
Holy cow. So that's just part of life on a boat, huh? Do you have people coming around all the time, just like a market, like coming to sell things, like door-to-door salesmen, essentially?
It depends where we are. I mean, here there's where we are at the moment in Union Island, we only have the fishermen that come around and they're offering us just fish and lobster. But if we go somewhere like in St. Lucia and Rodney Bay, there's a guy that also comes around there selling fruit and vegetables.
That must be nice.
Absolutely.
Oh,
But
wow.
even here, I mean, for us to go ashore in the dinghy, there's a little village here with fresh fruit and vegetables. So we've got everything we need here.
Man, so if I read it right, y'all left Greece in 2006, and you've been in the Caribbean ever since?
We actually in 2006 was I have to think about my years now, mate. I can't keep track of them all. 2006 is when I kicked off. I think I started my own business with my own boats. So I've been in Greece doing freelance work as a freelance skipper, working on charter boats and doing deliveries and all that sort of thing. So in 2006, I started my own business. I think it was at the time was what was it called? Sailing Wildside, which is the business we have now. But nowadays we have a BVI business.
What is it like to try to turn a passion into a career like this? I know that it's probably a slow, steady kind of trajectory, but did it take at all away from the love of it for you?
Well, you know, as I say, the business that we started in 2006 was, I decided that I wanted to do, bring my passion of sailing, which was also my career, and also kite surfing all together. And at the time, there was nobody doing that, or there was nobody that I knew of doing that. So I bought the boat specifically to do kite surfing trips.
So what are some of the differences with your boat for that specific purpose?
In the beginning, you know, nowadays catamarans are very popular, but in the early days, you know, in that time, the catamarans, especially in the Mediterranean, were not terribly popular. So, and we had absolutely no idea how this kite surfing thing was going to work. So I actually bought a boat that was more for performance rather than comfort, because the idea was that we are sailing into the storm, so to speak. I mean, we're sailing into places that is windy because we want wind for the sports that we're going to do, which is kite surfing. Whereas most sailors are sailing away from those sort of areas.
Right.
So the first boat we bought was specifically, you know, performance oriented and, for that type of sort of a bit more hardcore sailing. We've since learned that we don't really need that sort of thing. I mean, most people still want their comforts, running hot and cold water and air conditioning and all those sort of luxuries. So our latest boat, the boat we have now, is a combination of both. I mean, it's a I'm trying to think of the right word here, a compromise. It's a compromise between performance and safety, obviously, which is very important to us, and also comfort. So, yeah, I mean, basically, we just have a catamaran, which is, you know, a nice, easy platform to launch kites from, store gear in. Yeah.
From what I understand, were you one of the first people to really bring kite surfing to the area?
In Greece at the time, yes. I was not the first to bring kite surfing to the area. I would say I was the first to do kite surfing trips for sure. I think as far as kite surfing in the island that I started on, which was in Kos, in the Dodecanese, which is close to Turkey. I started kite surfing right in the early days. So, you know, it was with 2-line kites, which is, you know, the very beginning of it all. Was the type of kite I used then was called a Whippica Classic. Anybody that's a kite surfer might know what that is. So I was starting in the early days. It wasn't until a couple of years later that I met another local guy who was kite surfing as well. And we sort of figured it out together.
I mean, I have never done it, and I've heard it's pretty hard to do, but can you just describe, you know, the sport of kite surfing and basically how you take totally new people through it. You know, do you take total novices and teach them from day one? And if so, how long does it take them to get up and going?
Well, that's the thing about kite surfing. I mean, it's not difficult to do. It's actually quite easy when you compare it to windsurfing. To be, to learn to windsurf and to become, good or proficient at windsurfing, it takes a year or two. Whereas with kite surfing is much, much easier. You can learn to kite surf if you go and get some lessons, within a week. So it's actually quite easy.
Yeah, no kidding.
The only thing is, in the early days, it had this reputation of being dangerous. I mean, it was, I think it's still classified as an extreme sport. However you classify extreme sports, I don't know. But nowadays it's advanced in the last 20 odd years to the point where it is, there's lots of safety and there's lots of, really good instructors, and there are instructional methods. Still can be dangerous, but we're taught about safety. I mean, there's so much safety involved in it that it's not difficult at all.
Y'all take people kite surfing on these trips, and then the home base, I guess, is the boat, and you just travel around islands around the Caribbean. Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah, for us, we are based in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which is probably, the best kite surfing spot in the area. I mean, there's a lot of good kite surfing places around, but here everything is relatively close together. So, the sailing distances aren't, too much. It's not too far to sail from one place to the other. As much as most people like sailing, I mean, they don't like sailing that much. If we have to sail 6 hours upwind into a bumpy seas, I mean, people that like sailing start to not like sailing after, a bit of a trip like that. So this area here is, everything is relatively close together. There's a variety of places to kite surf here. There's some really good kite surfing schools here. And also it's still unspoilt by tourism. It's not like the BVIs, or it's not like the Virgin Islands where it's just jam-packed with people and boats and, that sort of touristy sort of area. Here is a little bit more backwards, a little bit more left behind the times, which is what we prefer. We generally, there's a lot of kite surfing boats around here. There's a lot of more and more people doing kite surfing trips down here, but it's, for us, it's more about the experience of the lifestyle of living on the boat. It's not about jumping on a boat and doing, I don't know if you could imagine, but it's not about jumping on a boat just to go kite surfing. It's about the whole experience of living on the boat, waking up in a new place, being able to, wake up, have breakfast on the water, jump in, have a swim, do some snorkeling. If the wind's good, we go kite surfing. It's not, like a we don't do like a die-hard kite surfing trip, but also, we prefer to take people that are experienced kite surfers. In my opinion, or in our opinion, it's not really beneficial to do a trip on one of these boats to learn how to kite surf. If you want to learn how to kite surf, you should really go and spend a week at a place, which is, perfect conditions with great instructors, and learn how to kite surf. And then once you learn how to kite surf, then you jump on a boat and you can go and experience, all these fantastic places and the lifestyle and, living from out of the sea and doing, getting involved with the locals and doing the local thing here and combining it with all sorts of water sports, surfing or stand-up paddleboarding or scuba diving and fishing. And, it's about the whole experience. For us, it's not only about kite surfing.
So can you describe to people some of those differences in the lifestyle from, maybe just where most of the listeners are doing, myself included? I work from home, but, got a couple cars, got a house and a yard, some dogs. And it's what are some of the biggest difference and maybe some of the biggest misconceptions about your lifestyle?
Well, that's really difficult for me to describe because I don't live your lifestyle, so I can't really tell you what the difference is.
And it's probably been a while, huh, since you've lived.
That's right. Well, I mean, I'm trying to get my words organized in my head here and work out how to explain it, how to tell you. For us, it's the same sort of thing. I mean, our boat is our home, but it's also our business. So, and everybody has to work. Obviously, we have to earn an income, and to own a boat is it's like owning all of those things. It's like having your house and your car and all this sort of thing. I mean, the boat it requires a lot of maintenance.
I'm sure.
And also, the old acronym BOAT stands for break out another 1,000 is absolutely true. So, so we have to find a way to maintain this lifestyle. And for both Monika and myself, we've worked in tourism forever. I mean, Monika has a degree in tourism, and it's just, I mean, for us, it's just what we do. I don't know how to answer your question.
Wow. No, that makes sense. And I'm sure a degree helps. Well, take us through, what a typical day on your boat is like. If you're bringing on guests, they're living on the boat for however long the trip is. And so is it, I don't, do you find it difficult to wear so many hats in one small location?
Yeah, I mean, where to start? When we start, I mean, we pick up people mostly in St. Vincent or in the Grenadines, which is the most convenient places for flights. And we bring people on board. We very rarely do marinas. I mean, we're completely self-sufficient. So we have our little dinghy, which is a little inflatable rib, which we go and pick everybody up and all their luggage and what have you, bring them on board and then introduce them to the boat. We show them around. We explain, all the safety and all the rules. For example, if somebody falls overboard, we have to go over a safety brief, where the fire extinguishers are, all the normal things that you do when you go onto a boat. And then everybody gets settled in. We have cocktails. Monika and I sort of try to get a feeling for the people and what their expectations are, because the important thing when we're doing this is really to fulfill expectations. I mean, these holidays are relatively expensive, so we have to try and meet people's expectations and give them what they pay for.
Does that stress you out?
In the beginning, in the early days, yes.
Okay.
But now we've done it so many times, and we find it really. I mean, I find it very easy to get a feel for people straight away. I mean, on when people come onto our boat, the most important thing really is, apart from safety and the obvious, is that people just switch off and relax. So once we get people relaxed, I mean, which is easy for us. We've done it so many times. Once we get people relaxed, it's quite easy to work out, with conversation and a couple of cocktails, to figure out what they want, what their expectations are. We pull out the charts. We have pilot books, which is like a guidebook of the area, where we can show people the places that we're going to go to, and what sort of things they can do there. And from that, from this sort of discussion on the first evening, we get a good idea of what their expectations are. So then we spend the rest of the week trying to meet their expectations. And for us, it's also important that it stays interesting for us as well, because when you come onto the boat, well, there's a group of us, up to 8 people. So there's Monika and myself, and then we can take up to 6 guests. And, in a 40-foot boat or a 44-foot boat, that is not a great deal of room. I've lost my train of thought now.
No, I think people probably, they're on vacation mode, and, but, it is stressful. It's probably an exciting, thrilling experience for them. So I'm sure there's stress or some anxiety with them. And you guys have to manage all that in a very, very small area. I'm sure emotions can run high at times, and you do have to kind of manage group dynamics and stuff, which I'm sure can be challenging.
Yeah, you just put me straight back on track. Thanks, mate. Yeah,
no worries.
That's exactly right. I mean, that's exactly what we do. And, if I'm enjoying myself, and if Monika is enjoying myself, then the people are enjoying themselves. The guests are enjoying themselves. So, we don't let things get boring for us, and we don't, we manage problems which are very few and far between. I mean, we manage them in a way that, it doesn't affect everybody else on the boat. And we sort of have to manage the guests a little bit that way at times. I mean, it might be a group of friends that do this sort of thing every year, or it might be a group of people that haven't even seen each other for 10 or 20 years. It might be a get together for some guys, for a crew that went to college together, and now they're 40 years old and trying to catch up with the old times. And but we find this relatively easy. I mean, we're actually quite laid back, and as I say, we've done this a lot, so I don't know if I'm answering your questions here.
No, that's actually, it's just very interesting. Just, I've done some guiding, kind of backpacking stuff, but nothing on water. And I just think, it is a lot of figuring out, okay, what is this group like? What are they expecting? What's the dynamics of this group? Who's kind of the leader? Who's, how are people feeling? Making sure everyone's having a good time. I mean, how often would you say it doesn't go well? And it's like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for this group to leave.
It doesn't happen that often. I mean, it does happen, but it doesn't happen that often. And also, I don't think that the problem is so severe. I mean, I don't think that it is such a great problem that people are not going to enjoy themselves. We're on the water. We're in paradise. I mean, how can you not enjoy yourself?
Yeah.
How can you let anything get to you? So it's not really such a great problem.
It's hard not to have a good time out there, I'm sure, especially with folks that are as experienced as you. So being, the leaders of a group and you folks that aren't nearly as experienced as you, what are some of the dangers you watch out for around the area, and what are some of the things you're always kind of keeping an eye out for?
Oh, that's a very broad question.
I mean, is it weather? Is it rocks? Like, I'm sure you have your patterns down of where the areas you go to.
Yeah, I mean, we know the area like the back of our hands. I mean, reefs. I mean, we sail straight through reefs. I mean, there's little passages that we can sneak through. I mean, we try, like I said, we try to keep everything as interesting as we can, and we try to anchor in the most beautiful spots. I mean, we put our anchor down and we find a nice big bay like where we are right now. And there'll be a nice clear sandy patch which looks like swimming pool blue, and we always make sure that the back of the boat is over this. When we anchor in a place like Salt Whistle Bay in Myray, for example, this is a nice sandy beach lined with palm trees, really local atmosphere. We virtually drop our anchor on the beach. So if there's a lot of boats there, we're in front of everybody. So we have our usual system. We have our places that we go to. But dangers, I mean, the only real dangers I would say is with kite surfing, there's the obvious. People drifting off downwind and dragging themselves over some rocks or something. But, we brief everybody, of all the dangers as far as when we're kite surfing. We always brief everybody of the dangers. And we always give them a backup plan that, the sort of things that they have to look out for. And if they can't get back to where they started from, this is plan A, this is plan B, this is plan C. And also we have our rescue boat. And the same thing goes if we go we do little snorkeling trips out in our little dinghy, so we can take people on outside the reef on Tobago Keys. There you could get some currents. But, we stay with the people. We always supervise them. So we can drop them off somewhere along the reef and they can do a bit of a drift snorkel. And I follow them along with the dinghy. So, I mean, we're aware of all the problems and all the dangers. We're also very aware of our liabilities. So, we've got a handle on all that sort of thing. There's not really any problems. I mean, we've got everything organized. If people need flotation devices, we have flotation devices. I mean, if people need supervision, I mean, I even have people here that I have to teach them how to use a snorkel. So it's pretty straightforward. I mean, we have everything organized here and everything is in place. We've had a lot of experience, so we know exactly what to expect, and we already know what the people are like. Yes, it makes it relatively straightforward for us.
Was there ever any experiences early on, any stories you have where maybe before you had all this experience and this figured out that something went wrong, or just something you were keeping an eye on? I don't know. I know early on for me with backpacking, it was, I was worried about every little thing, but then you start to learn that certain things just aren't very likely, but every once in a while something does happen that scares you a little bit.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. As a yacht master, as the master of the vessel or the captain of the ship, so to speak, I went to college in Australia, and I know what my responsibilities are. I know what my liability, that I am liable. I know that the buck stops with me. So we always plan everything. We don't take risks. There has been times when we've been working on other people's boats. I can remember one day when Monika and I, Monika at the time wasn't a terribly strong swimmer, and we had the chef from the boat drop us out on the reef at Tobago Keys. And then he took off and left us there. And the tide was going out. So the tide was trying to suck us out over the reef and out to sea. And we managed to get to some little mooring buoys that were there specifically for the dinghies and flag down some help. But, this is how we learned about, when we take guests there, we need to make sure that we're on there because we know that there's strong currents there. So a lot of things we've tried it before, so we know what to do. But at the moment, while we have this problem with quarantine and nobody's traveling and we've got nothing better to do, we're going to go out and explore some new places to try some different things over the next couple of weeks. So we've already been there and done that before you get here.
No, okay. That makes sense. You using this break to maybe plan a new itinerary you haven't had a chance to go explore before. So, that's fantastic. I was going to say, with everything going on, or maybe just having done this for a while, do you foresee yourself doing anything else in the future, or transitioning out of it, or you just see yourself doing this for the foreseeable future?
I don't know. Monika said that to me a few times. I don't know what else to do, mate. I don't.
It's just been
what
too
else
long,
would
huh?
I do?
Yeah,
I've been doing this for too long. If I left this, what else would I be doing? I'd be working on somebody else's boat as a captain, or I would be in a marina repairing boats for somebody. I've been in it for too long, so I don't know what else to do. But this particular boat that we have now, we've only had it for about 3 years, so it's still quite a new project for us, and we're still really enjoying it. Once we get bored with this, once we get bored with this area, then we'll move on. We'll head down to the ABCs and San Blas and into the Pacific, and who knows where we're going to go.
Can you do tours from anywhere you go, or how much time does it take to really learn the area to be able to be comfortable doing something like that?
The biggest thing really when we go to a new area is there's rules and regulations. So we can't just go into any country and start chartering. We're running a business there, and so every country you go to has different rules. So we just have to go and we have to do the research before we get there. It's anything to do with sailing. You always make a passage plan before you go, so that you know where you're going and what to expect when you get there. What facilities are available and what sort of things you have to take with you, or where are the best places to go for certain things. But most importantly is when we exit and enter any country, we have to go through customs and immigration. So there's a lot of formalities to think about before we even move.
But yeah, it's just like any other business. You're in a country, there's rules, there's things you got to do, and I'm sure your insurance is not cheap either with everything that you're doing with people. So
yeah, that's another thing. When we're in the Mediterranean, our insurance was much cheaper than it is here. So yeah, every time when we start heading across the Atlantic Ocean, we have to inform our insurance company, and they will rearrange our insurance to suit, which usually means putting the price up. But yeah, there's a lot to think about. You can't just people sort of think that sailing is the ultimate freedom, and which it is to a certain extent, but still there are still rules and regulations the same as you have at home.
Absolutely. And, I just pursuing life kind of outside the box, I've realized that a lot of people think they look at the highlights and they look at, you on the boat in the middle of the Caribbean and think, oh, I would love to do that. But they don't see all these other steps and these things you have to maintain to do so. Like you said, the boat is probably like the maintenance of 10 houses in one in a lot of ways, as well as just everything you got to know, everything you got to learn. It's got to be a huge challenge, but the reward must be just so much greater than the challenge of making it happen.
Oh yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's fantastic. The lifestyle is fantastic. I mean, there is I can imagine when we think about when I first stepped on a boat and that had all these complicated systems on it, or somebody else that is coming into this lifestyle. They first step on a boat and look at all these systems. They have to figure out how they work, and to get somebody to do everything for you is one, expensive, and quite often, you're going to be in a remote position. Like, I mean, you could be in the middle of the Pacific Ocean and your water maker breaks down. You have to know how to fix that. But at the end of the day, we manage to stay on top of everything, and we don't have a hell of a lot to do because we do a lot of preventive maintenance. So, and at the moment, I will spend a part of the day checking and maintaining certain things on the boat. This morning I decided I'm going to get up and go and practice foiling, and then this afternoon I'm going to do check some filters and pumps and all that sort of thing. So, we do all these sorts of things to stay on top of it, so that, most importantly for us is so that we don't have breakdowns when we have guests on board. There's nothing worse than having to pull the tools out when somebody's trying to relax and, get away from it all.
And drink a cocktail. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You don't want a wrench right next to them.
Absolutely.
I totally get that. Wow. So with everything going on, are y'all, transitioning? You said you're postponing a lot of the trips, but you're hoping that folks will continue to go with you, because I'm sure down in that area, your season's probably pretty wide open. Is that true? Or is it a seasonal thing?
Yes, it is quite seasonal. And I mean, in the hurricane season, everything's shut. In the north, up around the Virgin Islands, everything's pretty much closed, and there's nothing happening in the hurricane season. And but down this end of the Caribbean is much safer from we don't have the hurricanes are passing further north. Sometimes I make a beeline heading this way, but they always, 9 times out of 10, they swing north. So as far as insurance is concerned, we have to be down here. So for us, we have the advantage that our season can be longer. If we keep a really good eye on the weather. We know about them, before when they're very first forming off the coast of Africa, or sort of a little bit out into the Atlantic. We know it weeks before they get, before a hurricane gets here. So we still don't have a problem operating, but the problem is it's summertime and it's hot. So most people don't want to be out here when it's hot. So for that reason, we're not as busy. Although it's the best time to be here. It's fantastic. There's nobody else here.
Got it all to yourself. Probably have to pinch yourself constantly, huh?
Yeah, especially when I've got a horror job and I've got my bum in the air and my head under the engine and grease all over the place. Yeah, I have to give myself a pinch every now and then and say, "Hey, look where I am."
Look where I am. Not usual in a lot of ways. So, it might sound pretty normal to you, but to the rest of us, I think it's a pretty fantastic looking lifestyle. But where can people find out more about you, learn more about your business and about your story?
From our website, sailingwildside.com.
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 And they can find information about your trips there too?
Yeah. Well, I'll get it up to date eventually. Where we are at the moment, the internet is not real brilliant, although this is working out fine on Skype. But it's not always easy to upload videos and photographs and alterations to the website. But yeah, we're onto it. We're getting there. With Aaron's help, we'll get on top of it all.
Hey, sounds good. Yeah, you sound great coming through this, and the website looks great. And I know with everything going on, I'm sure you got a little time.
Yeah, well, yeah. Hopefully, we can try and get some videos and photographs up onto Facebook and onto our Instagram and all the rest to give people a little bit of inspiration.
Oh, absolutely, Stephen. Thank you so much for joining us, and for sharing a little bit about your lifestyle, what you do, and how you got there. Just sounds incredible. I know sailing is a dream for a lot of people, but I'm sure sometimes it can feel like a nightmare, but most of the times I'm sure it is a dream come true.
No, we still love it. It's still fun. And like I said, when we get bored with it, we'll move on. We'll change something. But no, for us, it's fantastic. We're still loving it.
All right, Stephen. Well, y'all stay safe and enjoy the weather, enjoy this time, and we'll catch up soon.
All right, mate. Cheers. All right.
Have a good
speaking to you. Ciao, mate.
First of all, thank you so much for listening. It means the world to us that you choose to listen to the show. If you'd like to help us further, you can leave a review on iTunes, share us with your friends, your family. It goes a long way to growing the show. You can also support us financially through patreon.com/adventuresportspodcast. Link is in the show notes. And also, if you have an idea of who could be a good guest for the show, we're always looking for people to tell their story about the outdoors or adventure. So if you know someone, please reach out. Email us at info@adventuresportspodcast.com. And until then, get out there and have some fun.